Okay, on to paint as the next activity. This one is just as simple as media. You can drag up to 20 backgrounds onto the paint application, and the backgrounds will appear as backgrounds to be painted on. But again, as with media, think about the kinds of activities you might do with paint. So in this example, we're actually going to ask the students to try and draw around the numbers to learn how to actually print the numbers 1 to 20. So I'll open up my notebook page and I'll create a new page, find my backgrounds which are on my desktop. I'll drag a background into Notebook, and again, as before, make sure it's on page view, drag into the corner, lock it in place, and then I'm going to create my numbers around the edge. So I'll go ahead and draw a line for the number 1, and then I'll clone this, bring it over to this side so that it's the right orientation for the person at that side of the table. Actually, this one, just move over to this side, and then I can clone this one to the top. Then I'll select all of them. I'll go to my Properties tab, and I'll change the line style to a dotted line. And then the instruction there is that the students must obviously trace over the number. So I'll add a new page. The easiest way to do it is probably to clone my current page just by clicking on the arrow on my page view, choosing clone page, and removing these, and then adding the number 2. And it's up to me how I do this. I can use my interactive whiteboard and actually draw a freehand number 2, go to my properties, change the line style again to a dot, and then clone and rotate and move this around. Or the other thing is the gallery actually has these numbers already inside it, so I could search for the gallery and add these numbers on. So I'll create my backgrounds for these. I'm just going to use my freehand method for now. Make sure this one's upside down for the student at the top of the table, and this one facing to the left. So once that's done, and I've done them for all 20 backgrounds or however many I wish to do, I'll export and change the size just like I have done in my other applications in GIMP. So once I've done that manipulation to my images, I can go to the location they're saved at, control click or shift and click all of the images I want to add into Paint, and then drag them over onto the Paint area, and you'll see that it will actually highlight in blue. Now the one thing is that the first image to actually show up in Paint will be the last image dragged in. So if I wanted to do this in order, I would actually drag the number 20, then the 19, then the 18, then 17, then 16, then 15 in that way. Because if I drag the 1 first, then the 2, it will actually be the wrong way round. If I have them all together in order by file name, in here it says Untitled 1, Untitled 2, so they're actually going to be in order. If I drag these together 1 and 2 and I drag them in, it will actually be the right order, but just be careful of doing that. If I wanted to add a number 3 now, after I've added these two, it'll actually put number 3 in front of number 1. So just watch that. Once they're in place, you can actually reorder them in the latest version of Table Toolkit by holding down and clicking in front of the the one beforehand, so you can play around with the images in the order you wish to actually have them in after you've added them, if you wish to do so. Once they're in there, again, these effects here, an ink effect is when you actually draw, it leaves a kind of a trail behind it, and you can change the thickness of what you're doing. So depending on how finite the actual task you're asking the students to do, think about the thickness of the line. These can be fairly thick because they're highlighting quite a large space. So if I preview this, you'll see that it will come up. Here's my one, and we can draw over this here like that. And obviously, because I'm on my computer, I don't get the effect that I would get if I was on the table of drawing actually with the ink. But you can shift through with this preview to see your other backgrounds in place by using the arrows on the left hand side here. So that's Paint.